How are you both?
Nice, nice. So, whoever has
I
joined us on LinkedIn
am.
today, it's a good late night to people who have joined it from Australia, and it's good morning to people maybe who have joined it from US, and it's good evening to people in Europe, and it's good evening to people in India too. It's an early edition, too early, 2 hours earlier than we usually do our show. But that's because we couldn't have expected our guest speaker, Zoe Bell, to log in at 2:30 a.m. at Australia. And that's the reason why we shifted our show 2 hours earlier so that Australia can be in. And today is the episode number 17 of Let's Golf with Andrea. You obviously know what golf stands for. Golf stands for Get Together of Lovely Folks, Friends, and Families. And Andrea Stadalter, the one to the extreme left, happens to be the face of golf, and that's Let's Golf with Andrea. So she is the face of golf. And who is she? She is an accomplished coach in mind mastery, in life transformation, and self realization. And who do we have in the center? We have got right in the center Zoe Bale from Australia, and she happens to be a meditation expert. I mean, she says that why don't you go get into the job of self introspection and self realization through meditation? So that's the topic of today's episode. And this is King Shuk. And welcome to you, both of you, Zoe, and welcome to you, Andrea, and welcome to you, the audience, whoever is watching us at an unfamiliar time, 2 hours from earlier. But I hope that you will give patronage to us. So over to you, Andrea, before I keep boring people.
Okay. Um, so about meditation. I I think I got in contact with meditation for the first time 2019, and I belong to those people thinking, well, that's for the huh? That's for the lunatics out there in the world. It's not for the real person. But I got colleague of mine contacted me, and she said, I'm doing this meditation education, and I'm trying this Deepak Chopra 21 days to abundance. And I thought, why not? Let's try this, right? So I started it, and every day I got a new assignment, the new meditation in the morning, but also a task. And I can tell you, I got so addicted to those meditations. I couldn't wait for them to start them in the morning. I got up early to start them in the morning and start my day, because after a few days I felt how I changed, how I got more into balance, and then I became a genius member of Jay Shetty, and I love following guidance. I love following a meditation that is guided by someone. I just enjoy that, and it gave me also a lot of insights about myself and about my past. And one was called yeah, it was a visualization, no,
I'll help
visualize
you, help you.
visualize your next step, it was called.
Excellent,
and,
excellent.
I was
Visualization.
yeah, I don't let me try this now. So it was visualize your next step. And so I started, and he was saying, like, don't look, don't look, just follow the path, and don't look to the right or don't look to the left. And so I found myself in my visualization being in the dunes where I lived. and it is it's a very rough area, and I I wished to be on a path with soft sand or grass, but it didn't happen. It stayed pebbles. So I thought, okay, and I just have to accept it, huh? I have to accept the pebbles. And he was saying, and imagine yourself going up the hill, and I thought, yeah, okay. Imagine myself going up the hill, and when you reach the hill, you look around and you will be happy. And suddenly I couldn't concentrate anymore. I had to. I left the meditation, and then I started again the next day. And the reason was I was rejecting what was coming as a, yeah, an opening for me, an eye opening for me, and that was, I rejected that. I had forgiven myself, but I had not forgiven my narcissistic partner. So I had to do this meditation again. And I was up the hill, and I felt the how I was hit in my face. And the next step was another hit in my face. And I just thought, okay, focus on the next step. And I up and up and up. And every step I took in my visualization, I said, I forgive you, asshole. And can you imagine, in all the time I lived with a man that was almost 20 years, I never named him anything, not nothing negative or so, but there I was every step I took. And when I then reached the top, I could, for the first time, I could actually be in those dunes and being on the top of the highest dune where I lived, and I could breathe and I was free. And I think when I meditate now, and sometimes it's just sitting outside and listening to the birds and be in stillness next to that, having no thought or even having thoughts coming in, I know what to do with those. And I personally appreciate meditation nowadays because it gives me the balance I need. And if I don't do that in the morning, excuse me, I get up earlier to have the time. And if I don't, because of whatever reason, I miss it. I really miss it. It's like I have a wrong start of the day. It's like stepping out of bed with a left leg and the wrong leg. I think that's is how you call it. And I stay restless for the day until I find that quiet moment for myself where I just sit and do nothing. Just, for example, concentrate on my breathing. And yeah, and there is a beautiful experience I had. I will talk about later because I want to give it now to Zoe because she is actually the expert in meditation, and she knows how to guide and teach and help people towards awareness through meditation. And that is beautiful. So here you go. The word is to you now, Zoe.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing as well. It's always beautiful to hear of others' journeys and where their experience begins from with the meditation. So for me, It was a point in my life. It was in 2011, and it was 6 months after leaving my marriage. And it was a point in my life where I basically was screaming up at the universe outside, like screaming at the universe, is this it? With a few little F-bombs in there. And then it was a week later while I was going to my yoga class, and in came the teacher. And it's true what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And when the teacher is ready, the student will appear. And then that began my journey. My teacher then took me under his wing and started teaching me the mantra meditation, also known as transcendental meditation. And what it did, it gave me I was so much in my head, and there was so many, it felt like I was repeating, and it felt like I was a train wreck on self-destruct. Felt like I was repeating old patterns. So then what started to happen is, when I booked that time in for myself, I started to find that in itself was learning how to have that self-love, self-love and self-care of putting my oxygen mask on. My children at the time were 2.5 and 3.5. So I was very much, my ego, my inner child, almost the wounded aspect of my ego was in rampage. So when we look at the self and the false self and the call it the gremlin, or the program that was playing out so much in my life, I couldn't see it. So what the meditation or the practice did for me, when I came out from after the practice and I used to rest, it was like I would start seeing my life, the patterns that you were saying at the top of the hill, the visualization, what I would be shown a visual where I started to see the patterns and the behaviors that I was playing out. I started to see where I was being an asshole. I started seeing, and it's that that separation, or the separation that we've had in ourselves. And sometimes we can't see it when we're in it. So we start being shown different levels of awareness of the games that we're actually playing in ourselves, and why certain things have perhaps happened in our life. So it was this really beautiful journey. And then what I found from that, from having that discipline, where's he gone?
Jyoti is there, I think. Sorry.
Okay. That's all right.
No, now we have to. Jyoti, hi.
Hello everyone. So, I'm really sorry. I was waiting.
Now we have them all.
Yes, Zoe, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. Lovely to see you. So yeah, it was a process, and that booking the time in, and that having a disciplined practice, and it didn't happen overnight. And I think that's really important. For me at the time, there was a lot of things I needed to shift through, but I started to notice when I came out of it that the world was a little bit brighter. I felt more grounded. I felt calmer. I started sensing that the experience of our natural essence, which we talk about self-realization, and our natural essence, our pure infinite source awareness, God's state, is inner peace and joy. So I would have little moments of that where I was shown it. And yeah, it's very true. The times that the old habit slipped in, that I didn't do the practice, then yeah, it was like waking up late, your alarm, sleeping through your alarm clock, and then being on the back foot, and until I actually sat and booked that time in. And then it was 2 years after that I started teaching, and then I started being ready to actually guide students. And yeah, it's one of the greatest gifts that I find is to for me, the philosophy is teach someone how to fish so they can fish for life. And for me personally, I'm not really, I find guided meditations very challenging. I think they're great to start with, but what it did, it gave me a way of self-regulating. And what that does, we talk about awareness and we talk about consciousness. And very simply, if we think of the veils of a lamp, you think of a lampshade. And we have this lampshade, and within the lampshade is this light, this infinite, eternal light that's always there. And in life, we have these patterns and programs. So the lampshade, we have layers of the lamp. And then over time, from the practice of sitting and doing the practice, then those layers of awareness, we start to get shown more. So like what you got shown with, you were saying with your ex-husband, and you start getting shown things, what you're ready to see, so you can process it.
Yeah.
So it's really, because it's coming into acceptance, because we're all this divine reflection of one another, beyond the separation, beyond the labels. Even the label narcissist, they are in themselves, they're also playing out their own game of wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, wanting to be validated. So yeah, it's this beautiful process where we can not only understand ourselves, but we get to understand one another and the divine reflections that we are as we are one. And beyond our colorings, beyond our appearances, and all the different colorings that we have of our personality. So it's about removing all of them and really being able to meet in a place from our hearts in love and compassion. Yeah.
I have here a question for you from Byron, and he says, how does it feel to experience unspeakable joy?
Joy. How does it feel? To even say, how does it feel, then the mind gets in there making a description of something, whereas it's about experiencing, having the experience of that. And joy to one person may be joy to a different person.
Yeah.
So the mind will, I could say what it feels with the experience of myself, but then that would be my mind creating a story around it, which would lose the state of joy anyway. I think joy is more what you can sense and you can feel, and you can't really describe something. It's more about having the experience.
Yes, that is very true.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Well, I hope. Let's wait what he says. I can give you the story, a story, because in the February of this year, I got, well, here we have, being able to understand and accept our fellow man or woman, it is truly a blessing which expresses agape love. Is that correct? Is that how I pronounce it? Agape love. A-G-A.
Agape.
Yeah. Agape love. Well, I was suffering from COVID in February, and I reached a moment that I thought I would die, and I reached out to a friend, because every time I had this feeling, this is going to be, I will not wake up the next morning. I reached out to a friend, and he said, just follow this. And it was a meditation, and I only had to do it once, and then after that I could do it myself. And it was about leaving your body. That is so difficult to do, especially when you are afraid to die. But it actually helped me to survive. Does it make sense? I was asked to leave my body. Actually, it came down to accepting that I was sick and loving myself even then, and accepting me as I was there, catching breath. And I was asked to leave and float in the universe, and I did. I just I s- I I was afraid, of course, at first, because I thought, what if I don't come back? What if I don't come back? I wasn't ready to not come back. You start smiling, so so you know what I mean. But and I started floating, and I was there, and I was like, I was this beautiful child, and I was not fearing anything. At the moment I was floating, I wasn't even afraid anymore whether I would come back or not. It was the most beautiful experience you can imagine. How did it feel? I can't say, because as you say, you have to experience it. I do remember when coming back, I became a wicked little girl, because then I was using my imagination, sitting on the wing on the of a plane, relaxing like a child and watching the world go by under me. That was the most amazing feeling, and from that moment on, I found the time every morning or whenever I was ready for it to go and float. And this is, I think, how I found my way to heal. That is definitely the case. I didn't stay with this feeling of being sick. I left it
Can,
behind.
can I add something after
Yeah.
listening to your story? I mean, for the last 20 odd years, my mom, who is a keen person in meditation, she keeps on telling me that you should meditate quite often to get in control of your own life. And she said, then I asked her, how do you meditate? And then she explained me that this is the way you meditate. And I observed her and I tried to copy her. Seeing that, I tried to copy her. Maybe this is the best way to meditate. But believe me, I just failed in that. She could have been meditating. I don't know. But I did not succeed in getting to this mode of meditation. And since the last 20 years, I've been trying. I've been trying really hard to meditate, but I have not been able to meditate. And so much so that I think I'm the only living person in this whole world who has tried to meditate and has completely failed in the art of meditation. Why I'm saying, why I'm saying whenever I try to sit still, 10,000 thoughts come and cloud my mind about my present, about my past, and about my future, about people concerned with me, people not concerned with me. I'm not able to get into this mode of stillness that I think what is called as meditation. Then I said, Mom, this is not working. I mean, if I'm sitting still at one corner and trying to, you know, get my minds of everything that cloud my mind, I'm not able to do so because some or the other thought keeps on dropping up in my mind. So if that is not so, I said, Mom, sorry, I'm giving up on meditation. And then came the lockdown in 2020. In the lockdown in 2020, I suddenly thought, well, the stray dogs on the street of India, they are completely dependent on human beings feeding them food because they cannot generate their own food. So why should I why shouldn't I do something for the stray dogs so that they are able to eat food? Because all the human beings, out of sheer fear of COVID, were locked indoors. And that's the time when I took a step of taking a few packets of biscuits with me and throwing them towards the stray dogs that I found on the street. India has a lot of stray dogs. I don't know about Germany and Australia. India has a lot of stray dogs. So I used to keep on going on those places or those roads where I think I knew those stray dogs would be, and I did the job of throwing biscuits to them, although I was dipshit scared of dogs. I mean, me and dogs are like miles away. I cannot, I get simply scared by even the sight of dogs. But I suddenly felt that maybe these dogs are actually hungry. And that's the reason why during lockdown, I used to go out of on the streets and put biscuits in front of those dogs so that they could come and eat. And very soon, I saw that those dogs became family with me. They started recognizing me. Okay, this foolish chap is going to come on this road and he's going to throw some biscuits at us. So they were waiting for me, and I was waiting for them. And it happens so that in such type of daily going out and throwing some dogs in front of stray dogs, it became a strange obsession for me. It became a sort of obsession that I started throwing dogs biscuits to the stray dogs, and they started wagging their tails, and they started having these biscuits as if they are hungry and they're not had any food over so many days. But I don't know what it was. But I saw them lapping up whatever I was throwing at them. And now that has become a habit. Now I don't know.
This,
That is the only probable time when I really don't think about my past, future, or present. I don't think about what's going to happen to me tomorrow, where I'm going to go land, what is going to be the repercussions of what I did yesterday, and what is it going to happen because I'm throwing these biscuits to these dogs now. I don't know what it is called, but I think my throwing of biscuits to to the dogs without a purpose and without thinking about my past, future, or present was my best attempt at meditation, unknowingly. Unknowingly, in the sense that that was probably the only time in my life or my times when I was not thinking about self or repercussions with others and this and that, and not and I was complete stillness, nothingness. What you
but
call as nothingness. I'm not talking about stillness. I'm talking about nothingness.
how how
So
can
I think that was the closest I moved towards meditation. And since Jyoti joined a bit late and she missed the first 13 minutes, I want her to come with her account of meditation before Zoe, you can explain like how meditation is exactly done and how does it help get us into that mode where we are into that feeling of nothingness that helps us get into a grasp of our self-awareness. So, with your kind permission, can I pass on the baton to Jyoti so that she talks about what she feels about meditation before Zoe and Andrea can clarify? Yeah, over to you, Jyoti.
Yeah. Yeah, hello everyone. This is Jyoti, as you already know me. So, not much of an introduction is required. But first of all, I would like to emphasize on one term called human being. So, we are the only creatures on the universe who have been given this name, or we have uh, been that mindful to have taken that particular name, human being. That means you are a being, you are an individual, right? So suppose all the creatures on the universe, they perform or they grow in groups. Even if they want to hunt for food, they want to sleep, they want to do whatever they want to do, they have to be in the groups. Only we have the authority, or we have that mindfulness that we are individuals. Individual itself means you have to have some time of thinking about yourself as being. So basically that is my understanding. If you are meditation, what is meditation? Being with yourself, being with your own self is meditation. So out of everyone in this particular universe got 24 hours of time, and what we all need to do, we are all dealing with, a lot of ups and downs, dissatisfaction, resentment, and xyz things. Everyone knows, not to talk about it. So if we need to be ourselves to enjoy the company, because people say that if you want to go a short way, you need to go alone, and that is meditation for me. If you want to run a long way, you need to be in groups. Okay, so definitely if you want to grow in a journey, it's like you have to be together. So I just want to give fine example of river or a pond. We are not talking about ocean right now. So river or pond. Just imagine there is a river that is still, and you throw a stone in the river. What does it do? Create a ripple effect. Okay. So as Avadeep just said that whenever he sits and talks about things about meditation, a lot of things comes and goes in the mind. That is very much true, and that's what life is all about. That's what human being is all about. Because apart from food and sleeping, we have a lot of things in our mind that is constantly being coming and going. So suppose our mind is that particular water. You throw a stone, and what if you want to stop that ripple effect? What you need to do? You need to just be in that state of mind. Don't try to stop it. Suppose if there is a great person who try to hit the water with a stick, what will happen? It will create more ripples, right? So in this way, we cannot force our thoughts by our own efforts. Meditation teaches us a different approach. And that is like in the stillness of meditation, we find the wisdom to let thoughts come and go as they will without the need. What happens is we try to control things. Suppose if I'm trying to control my partner, do you think he will be with me? Definitely not. He'll leave me and go and look for a sober person and be with that girl. He will not be with me. So don't try to control things which are not in your control. Let it come and go. Okay, embrace the natural rhythm of your mind and your soul, and just deal with it. Just be there. Automatically it will come and go. That's what I understood about meditation. Over to you.
Love
Nice, nice insights about your outlook towards it. Zoe, would you like to add about this and before we go to end here?
Yeah,
Because, yeah, yeah.
Please.
Jyoti. Yeah, I love that analogy as well. So meditation is a state of awareness. It's a state of consciousness as such. And Jody explained it beautifully with the ripples of I'm going to use pond as well. So we're using pond. The ripples, also known as riti, the disturbances, the distractions of mind, the coming and the going, and it's not about controlling it. It's the more you try to control it. And I'm also going to bring in the analogy of the dog as well. Feeding the dogs, because when you, for example, mantra meditation, the way that you need to get past the disturbances of the ripple, the noise of the mind. And the noise of the mind I also see as as a puppy dog. It needs a little game to play with. So likewise, Abhijit, when you go out and you're feeding the dogs, just using that as an analogy, even though you're doing that is not a form of meditation, it's a form of you relaxing into yourself of this art. You're giving and you're being present with what you're doing, so that disturbances of your mind is settling. But also the feeding of the dog, is like when you have a mantra and it's this throwing a ball to the dog, so the dog runs away. So you start learning how to not control the mind, but get that part of your mind that's always looking, the part of you now that's listening to me, commenting on what we look like, or having descriptions of all that noise that is in your head. It gives it something to play with, like a dog eating the biscuit or a dog chasing the ball. So for anyone that does have a lot of distractions in their mind, it can be really challenging to just let them go and just allow them to be, but actually give them a game. So that part of the mind has a little game to play with. So then what happens, the individual, the rest of their mind can drop down into the deeper states of awareness where there are less ripples in the pond. And then what happens from this over time, you're able to have more clarity because there aren't the ripples, and you return to that inner state of peace, clarity. It's not so cloudy, you're able to see. So your perception and the way that you see the world opens up. That's why we do need the discipline to book it in, because we, like a muscle, we need to strengthen. And the people on the planet, the most disciplined, that have a regular meditation practice, are the most peaceful people you will meet. And that may be that what they may be doing something with such pure intention of, even, for example, having a drink of water, but they're placing their full awareness, full attention to the water. Does that make sense? So they're not just rushing with the busyness. So yes, we are human beings, and we have this condition of this doing. And to truly get into those deep states of awareness, meditation states, we initially need to get past which requires being able to relax the body. So the body can be relaxed. That's the state of awareness or consciousness that comes before meditation. And then the state that comes after meditation is what they talk about being bliss, samadhi, nirvana, which is the God state, eternal awareness, which is our natural essence that's always there. But we have these disturbances that we have to, about letting all of that go and giving it all up, giving up the struggle.
Giving up the struggle.
Giving up the struggle, because, we create the struggle, because it's like, I want to, you hold on to it so tightly. I want to meditate. I want to learn how to meditate, but you're holding on to it tightly. You're constantly like chasing happiness or trying to catch a butterfly. It will continue to be this illusion that you'll never grasp, because you'll be chasing it rather than realizing it's always there, always within, always waiting. So it's like we're returning to our innocence. When you go down this path of self-realization, you realize all the nonsense that gets stuck in the head, and remembering the innocence and the pure innocence and, joy that you were when we were all born and we were, kids. We're all kids. We came here to play and to connect and to love.
You almost make me cry, Zoe, because this is how I feel. And I told you when we were on the Zoom call, we were talking about how I didn't hear any birds in the morning in India, and that I connected with the squirrel. And I said to Aberdeep, the last morning there was 3 squirrels there, and when I was looking at them, I was saying to myself, because here in Bremen is a squirrel. There are two, a brown one and a dark gray one. And when I was looking at those three squirrels in India, I connecting to me, looking at me like, there she is up there, and you. I was thinking by myself, I wish that the squirrel in Germany would make such a connection with me. And the poor our heart is, that is my experience, the more you manifest things without doing a lot of effort. So 2 mornings ago, for the first time, that the squirrel was on my balcony, and I heard tap 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 tap, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And then it was there, and it was stopping and looking at me. Also, most likely be paralyzed. Oh my God, there's sitting someone there on the balcony. I don't know, but we were looking at each other, and only then, when I thought, okay, I turned my, I just look somewhere else. It actually went off, and I was like, oh my gosh, Andrea, you have been sitting here like almost 2 years, looking at this animal, following it, and jumping from one balcony to the other, and into the trees, and then going up the wall, and you always thought, oh, and now it gave me a present. It gave me a present. It was beautiful. And at this moment, when you experience nature, you just feel the joy like we felt it when we were a child, right? And I embrace that. And I always hear my sister saying, there is a child lost in you. And I always say to her, oh no, I have found her. We rekindled. She's back. And she doesn't understand. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that others do not understand, as long as I understand. That is the most important part for me. Yeah?
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Finding yourself as an inner child with absolutely no thoughts. I mean, good, bad, ugly. I think what can be more beautiful than that?
Children don't
What do
overthink.
you
They only
what do you
start
say, Jyoti?
when they are programmed by society. Isn't it?
We're all kids. We're all kids right now. All of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do
Yeah,
you say, Jyoti?
Abradeep,
What do you say?
I would like to add something to this. What India said, definitely I agree to all of you. I have a approach wherein, man is named as a social animal, right? So we are social when we want to be happy, right? And what we say, if we have not seen the lows, we cannot enjoy the highs, right? So if you have been there at your extreme down, that's when you can enjoy your extreme high stage. If you have been a silver spoon fed child, so you will never enjoy what is poverty, what is richness, and all these things, right? So what I believe is, if you are named, you are blessed. Human beings are blessed to be called as a social animal.
Mhm.
So what is the point of not spending? We always try to influence others, we always try to show off that we are this, we have nice clothes, we have this sort of memory or mind, and we are CEOs or HOs or whatever XYZ things, right? I'm just saying that for the namesake, don't quote me anyone, please. So basically, if we are in the process of showing someone or the other what we are, why not spend 15 minutes, only 15 minutes of your time out of 24 hours? I'm not asking you, to close your eyes and not think about anything. Just be yourself. Don't
Mm.
watch television, don't watch any Netflix, don't try to read, and don't, obviously the first point is don't sleep off. That is the very much mindset of people, that they sleep off. So basically what I have realized is, it's meditation is a practice. When we talk about India, so India has been a land wherein it has, the meditation has been passed down through centuries, like transcending cultures and beliefs, and it holds the power within us to enrich our lives in ways we might not even have imagined. And now it has transferred to definitely different countries. And when we talk about, we are the yoga gurus talking about meditation, so it's all about mindfulness. It's about understanding what you are doing and why you are doing,
Mm.
or just be in the moment. It's about actually being aware of the present moment, embracing it without judgment, and allow it to unfold naturally. How difficult is that? In a world of distractions, demands, constant noise, meditation provides a sanctuary where we can record with our inner selves. So one way, Zoe, you can say if I am not correct or correct, you are a master in that. So basically, when if I love cooking, right? So I just love cooking, no thoughts coming, or I'm not trying to suppress any thought at that particular moment. I just love cooking, and trust me, guys, when I cook, I just, it's out of love, or I'm not putting any thoughts to it. What are the spices that I need to put in? What are the ingredients that I need to put in? So enjoying the moment is sort of mindfulness, and mindfulness is all about meditation, right? So be mindful of what you're doing. We learn in this particular moment, we learn the invaluable skill of self-awareness. We understand our thoughts, emotions, and reactions towards it more deeply. So that's my understanding. Zoe, I would like to hear from you now.
So there's a distinction between mindfulness and meditation. I've actually just written a blog on it. I was going to see, can we add it to here? Because I can explain a little bit now, but it'll go into it more. Can I add it to the comments later?
Yes, please do so.
Both practices are so important for our mental well-being. There is a distinction that they're different. Mindfulness is more so the observing of the thoughts, the sensations on the body. The mindfulness is it's like on the surface level of the mind here. Whereas meditation is a closing the eyes and going inwards, and the body is perfectly still. So there's no movement of the body, because even moving the body is a distraction.
Yeah.
So it's about turning. Oh, what's that? Echoing.
Is it okay now?
I'll try now.
What about now?
Echoing.
Is it okay still now?
Something changed. That's
Now things are okay. You can tell me, I can hear you well. You can speak.
okay. So with the,
Yes.
with the
Let's mute ourselves.
Yeah, I've done that.
Nikki and Aberdeep and I, and let so he speaks, see if it makes a difference.
So the meditation is more turning the attention inwards, and it's actually going beyond the senses, because even the senses are a distraction. So it's about going beyond the senses, beyond the discomfort, the distractions in the body. And then that practice of that then will expand this, like the practice of transcendence. And I liked how you mentioned with India as well. My lineage of learning the meditation comes from transcendental meditation, from Yogi Maharishi Mahesh, who his teacher trained directly with him. So it's really close to lineage. But the practice of transcendence, what happens is, by this going beyond the senses, the rest of the mind, the totality of mind, drops deep down into the deepest depths of the mind, the source of all thought, what happens when someone does this is this level of the mind expands. So that's why when you come out of it, all of a sudden everything's brighter. So they both have a really vital role. And I think mindfulness is a really great place for people to begin. But it can also be challenging as well. And I loved, when you're sharing your passion, you're sharing your gifts, and there is so much joy and magic in that. And I think that's your soul expressing, right, Jody? It's like you're creating, and there's this orchestration of creation, of bringing all those different ingredients into your recipe and what you're making with love, which has a beautiful offering. It's a devotion. It's that devotion, that act of self, that service to which, is also the yogic path of devotion. And I love that. But yeah, does that answer your question? There's a difference. Yeah. And I think it's great having it's great having these conversations.
Yeah. While we've been listening to Zoe, Andrea, will you take the trouble of reading out a few comments and answering those questions?
Yes. Can everybody mute themselves?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have some great comments, and I think we also had was Sullivan joining us. Somewhere here, wonderful topic. And a chief who's always with us or often says, hello. I always find right answers when meditating. Yeah, I get that, because in the silence we will find answers. And here we have Will, who said, oh wow, great to see this pop up this morning. That is nice. Then Byron, who has been very active from the beginning, self-love is the best love. That is for sure. And I think some of those we have answered most of them. We have this one here. Who unmuted? Meet me in the middle, your story, when the soul is worn but wise. I find joy within gratitude. Yeah, anybody wants to answer, to say anything about this? Because I believe when we start being grateful for things in our life, experiences in our life, we start vibrating on a higher level, because simply because we left the victim mode, and that is where society has put us in. And once you realize this, and you get out of the rat race, and you understand accepting everything, meaning also the bad experience in life, and accepting them, that hey, you are in earth school, and it belongs to your education, and just don't worry about it. Just accept it, embrace it, and go the next step, because there will always be a next step until you have reached your final destination. And we all have the same destination, and the only thing we can do is by creating our path the best way we can. Yeah. So if anybody wants to say now,
Can I add something? Can I add something? Andrea? Hello? Can I add something? Hello.
I said
I
yes.
said
I put my
yes. I
foot
put
in
my foot in
somewhere.
someone.
Yeah. Let me
But the
speak.
echo
Echo.
point.
Yeah. You can unmute yourself so that the voice is clear. Yeah. So, once upon a time, I happened to be in a tiger reserve. A tiger reserve is a place like a forest in India where tigers are protected, right? And I happened to be in that place by chance, not planned, not that I was excited to see tigers, but I happened to be in that place. And the car driver, he stopped it in the middle of a forest in a place where supposedly tigers could have come in. But I was so hungry for a smoke. I didn't think of tigers. I just got out of the car to have a smoke. And unconsciously and without even realizing it, below a tree I went and I lit up a cigarette. And I was smoking, and I did not realize something was strange, something was very odd in that surroundings. I mean, I was in the middle of nowhere inside a deep forest. Only trees and nothing else. And supposedly wild animals. But I couldn't hear the roar of a tiger. I couldn't hear the tree leaves swaying to the wind. I could not hear the wind. I could not hear anything. The only thing that I heard was my breath, my own breathing mechanism. The only thing that I heard was my breathing mechanism, and my ears got absolutely uncomfortable in the sense like it was not able to. Like, how come on? No voice, no noise in my ears. We are in the middle of India. We are all accustomed to a lot of noise and lot of noise and voices around us. Either a car honking or a child shrieking or somebody speaking, but we are always accustomed to some noise. That was the only time in my life when I heard something called as no noise. And I felt distinctly uncomfortable. Why? Because my ears were not hearing anything except my breath. I said, I found it very strange. When I first experienced it, I found it very strange that I'm not able to hear anything except my own breathing. And for a moment, I lost it. I lost it. I had no thoughts in my mind whether a tiger will come, whether I thought where I'm going to go next, where did I come from, what business I've got to be in the middle of a jungle. I had no thought in my mind except one thought: how am I breathing? How am I inhaling and how am I exhaling? And how am I sounding? I think once again that was the closest I came to meditation. Probably what Zoe has been telling about is at a time when you are at complete stillness and you're in own company with no thoughts, zero thoughts, nil thoughts, when you're not thinking about anything except in a stillness. That's what Zoe was pointing out towards meditation. Of course, I mean, that happened to be by mistake. And when my mom has been pestering me, meditate, I've not been able to do it again. And then I was thinking this is meditation and that is meditation. But I agree that with Zoe's thought saying that it's not mindfulness, but complete stillness and nothingness that is closest to meditation. And stillness and nothingness leads to beingness. Stillness and nothingness leads to beingness, and beingness leads to tranquility. And in that tranquility, somewhere hides meditation, which I have not been successful for doing quite often by design or by purpose. But I feel that when she made a point that there is a difference between meditation and being mindful is different, being meditative is different. And I agree with this point on Zoe, and now I'll pass on the baton to Zoe so that she can explain what does she want to say about this, and then later on we can hear what Jyoti has to say about this and what Andrea has to say about this.
So, can you hear me? Yeah. So the beingness is always there. It's not somewhere where we're going to, or it doesn't have a location. It's always there. There was something that you said, and I was like, there was something that came through, and I was, what was I going to say to it? And then I was like, oh, that's it. Even if you have the thought of, I'm meditating, is a thought, and you're not meditating. Because there's a thought. Because the mind is like, it's like, I feel bliss. Oh, and you have these experiences when you are sitting doing the discipline, or doing the practice, the discipline, because it's in the discipline. Then you have these moments of experiencing something like spaciousness and nothingness to even, but then when the mind goes, I experience nothingness, it's like, that's the mind. So then there is no, does that make sense? So like it's that's the self-realization is the of us being revealed, our true self. Now, somebody wrote one of the comments about we all fear where we're going, which is death. Well, Ram Dass says it so beautifully. He said it so beautifully, to die before you die. And that process of the identification with our false self, our personality, our appearances, who we dress up as this, who we think we are as this human, the false self. Those aspects, as we go through our journey through life, we have these, people will have heard of dark night of the soul, or where, we go through these peaks and these gullies. And usually what people don't like the gullies because they think that's about going down. But Jody said it as well. That's where the magic is. That's where, we have to go through this process. It's neither good or bad. It's simply an experience. So when we look at something like death and, where are we returning to? We're returning to the eternal one, the God, the Godhead, the infinite source, and absolute bliss. And that is that really death, or is death simply shifting and changing form beyond this attachment that we have to this body and this mind? Because, all right, where we are, all of us right now in our individuality in these meat body suits, yes, there is this separation between our bodies, but yet the chi or prana, the energy, the formless substance, the auric, the formless substance that fills every space around us and within us is constantly flowing. There is no separation. So we are learning through this experience of our humanness to recognize self recognize the God state that we each are in our pure innocence and our pure bliss. And when we, into that, then when you start having those experiences, then your past, your experiences that you passed no longer exist. But the body holds on to it, the mind holds on to it, because there's an aspect that's some like holding on to the suffering because it's wanting some form of acknowledgement from it. And people can spend their lifetime looking for external acknowledgement for it, or they think that's who they are. This is my story. This is who I am. And someone may need to play that out for a little bit to then really realize that seeking or searching for external validation by others, they may never get it. And imagine when we can simply accept it in ourselves, let it go, or whatever someone's holding on to and clinging to, the suffering, give it all God, give it all up, give it all back to God, give it up into the light of God as you are. That is what is within, and that is the journey. That is the journey of yoga, of the art of living and being. We're already free. We're already free. Yeah. So consciousness.
That's really nice. That's really nice, explanation, Zoe. Because of lately, I started understanding what actually meditation is. So, if I can just wrap up in 1 minute, I would like to just quote this: that everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. So, Zoe or Andrea or Kingshuk cannot convince me that why I should do meditation. But only when you are doing it, you are understanding that it is not a way of making your mind quiet. It's a way of entering into the quiet that already exists. Every human being has 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts in a day. What you need to do is get rid of that 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts and don't think about it. And as per me, what I have understood, meditation, when you meditate, you are in the company of wisest creature that ever existed, and that is you. So that is meditation for me. Thank you so much, Zoe,
I love
for your
it.
inputs.
I love it.
Over to you, Andrea.
To sum up, because actually we are already 7 minutes past our episode, and it was so interesting that Zoe had beautiful thoughts to speak about meditation, and Andrea, you yourself spoke very nice words about it, and Jyoti summed up very well. So, Andrea, you can pass on some words, and then we'll finally give it to Zoe, and after that we'll finish this amazing program. It's a beautiful. I think we should have an episode number 2 about this. It was beautiful, actually. Andrea, you can say something.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to say something. No, joking. No, but the thing is, actually, Zoe made it clear why. When people ask me, how do you find it so easy to talk about your story? It's simple. I'm not attached to my story. It's a story. That's it. And with that said, I want to thank you because it was an amazing show and we got a lot of insights. And I hope that you are coming back. So I really hope because your insights will help many people, and it has to be heard. Thank you so much.
And finally, rounding off, thank you, Zoe, for coming in. And we will let you know next when you are on the show. And Andrea, as usual, you have summed up it pretty well. And Jyoti, thanks for coming in pretty late, but making substance and making your presence felt. And Zoe, it was once again very outstanding. And thanks to all the guys who participated very keenly in this program. And that is what we wanted you to know, to listen to us deeply about her thoughts on how meditation can really lead to self-introspection and self-realization. And this was very fantastic. It reserves around to, we could actually have some sessions of how to meditate the right way in a session in the future. And thanks once again to all the guys, and thanks again, Andrea. Thanks again for to Jyoti, and thanks again to Andrea for making this episode one of the best episodes we have ever done. Nice. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I look
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Happy weekend. Enjoy your Sundays.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
See you.
bye.
Bye bye.